Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. We're going to have such a great show on visibility. I'm Annette Naif, CEO and Creative Director of Naif Productions. Welcome to Turn of Events, where we help put a positive spin on the future of your business. Since COVID, I decided to try to help my colleagues, and now it's turned into just business owners and things like that. But what's really important to have visibility. And so my guest, I'm super excited, is Roshanda Pratt. Roshanda is known also, she's known also known online as the Ro Show Live, is a storyteller and live video strategist, producer, and first lady of visibility. So I'm going to bring Roshanda on. Welcome, Roshanda.
I'm so excited to be here. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so excited that you're here. You know, you're one of my favorite people ever. We've known each other for a while, but I'm just so excited that you're doing this for me because I know you have a very busy life.
I'm
So,
honored.
yes, thank you so much. And visibility is super, super important. And so we want to talk about that, especially now because
Yeah.
everybody's kind of behind the scenes and we can't get out and network. So we need to talk about that. One of the things I want to mention is we're using a hashtag called visibility is power. So we want everyone to please share that and questions. We want a lot of questions. Whatever you have, we're here to help you. Roshanda's gonna help you with all of that. And first of all, I want you to tell us about you, where you come from. I know you have an amazing background, and you know what you're doing now.
Sure. So I'm a former television news producer of 20 years. So I worked as a television news producer, executive morning show producer, and done some things on camera as well. My journey in getting into television news started when I was in the fourth grade. My mom and dad actually are from the beautiful country of Trinidad and Tobago. And my dad told me as an American citizen that it's my responsibility to know what's going on in my country and my community. So while I was in the fourth grade, my friends were watching the Smurfs, Annette, and I was watching Tom Brokaw and Peter Jennings. So he would make me watch the news because he said I had to be informed. And that really started the love for storytelling. I didn't know back then it was called broadcast journalism. By the time I figured it out, I was in high school and I started a journey on becoming a journalist. Got my first TV job that paid me while I was still a senior in college. And for 20 years, I've had the great pleasure of being on the front lines of writing history of the major stories that have happened the last 2 decades in our country. Most recently, I transitioned out of television news to become a full time entrepreneur and helping people as the first lady of visibility, helping people be seen, heard, and paid through online using the live platform that we're doing here through live video and also through traditional media, booking themselves on television.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, as the first lady of visibility,
Yes.
what's you know, for define what it's like, what it's called for the clients you are called to serve. So, define what that's like for visibility.
So I usually work with speakers, coaches, and consultants, messengers. These are folks who no longer want to be hidden figures. They no longer want to blend in the background. They know they have a message. They just don't know how to get that message out there through multimedia. As you know, data says that 80% of people would rather watch a live video than read a blog. I'm not saying you still don't blog,
Right.
but we know that there's been this surge in live video. And what's fascinating for me is, 20 years of working in television, to be able to put up a live shot, you needed cables, you needed a sat truck, you needed to have a reporter on this location, a photographer. You need to have all of these things just to do a 3-minute live shot.
Right.
But now, through the invention of technology, we're able to just hit a button and instantly go live across many platforms. Because the thing that's powerful about visibility is power. It's not just Your visibility is not just a zip code, whatever that zip code or area code is. Visibility is beyond your little niche, your community. It's global. And I think what's really powerful about this is that everybody has an opportunity, listen to this, to build your media. Now, when I say build your media, I'm not talking about just what you post on social media. What I'm talking about specifically is you get an opportunity to build your media warehouse. You look at an ABC, a CNN, you look at their online platform, you'll see all this video and all this content. you get the same opportunity to be a producer of content. So the people that I work with understand how to think like a producer, how to clarify their message so they can impact the world with a great story both on air and online.
Right. So I'm doing that. Obviously, I
Mhm.
started doing this with your support and many others, but this is not something I normally do. I
Right.
don't like the camera. I like being behind the scenes, but I'm here. I love helping people, and I have so many amazing people in my
Mm.
network that can help everyone. And since we've all been in this pandemic and everyone's sort of lost their jobs and all this shut down, I thought, you know what, we need to help people keep going and
Right.
not give up on their businesses. And like myself, I'm a live event producer. However, we're doing virtual events. So
Okay.
if you have a live event and you don't know how to go virtual, please contact us because we can definitely consult you on that. But there's so much, it's way different than live, and
Yes.
there's a lot that goes into it. We're all still learning. No one's like, not everybody are experts in this, but we're
Hmm.
here to help and create, and you can be visible through just being online as well. So even if a live event, and we're finding that a lot more people are getting on, audiences are 3 times the amount now because
Yeah.
people can join from all over. They don't have to travel. They don't have to spend the money. So, I've had clients making quite a bit of money from doing virtual events. So it's very important. So
I
why?
love that.
Yeah, it's such a change, especially for us live producers. And we, as my event colleagues are going through all of this, and my poor industry is just a mess right now because it's going to be quite a while before we get back to a really great live, lots of people in events and things like that. But
Hmm.
so why is it important to be visible?
It's important because the very definition of visibility is talking about being seen. But what I want people to take away from the discussion is it's not about being seen everywhere. It's about being seen the right places.
Right,
I talk to people all the time where they say, Roshana, look, I'm showing up, I'm showing up. And I'm like, yeah, you're showing up, but you're everywhere. It's like, are those the places that my audience hangs out with? So it's about being very intentional about your visibility, but about where you're going to be visible at, right? Where are we going to see you? And visibility is important because those that have the eyeballs have the wallet.
yeah, that's a
I
good.
mean, I listen, I talk to people all the time. This is what I hear. Now, this is gonna be tough, but I feel like we're friends now. And I can tell you guys this who are watching this in, live or in the replay. Here's the tough reality of this. You ready for this? It's gonna be tough, but I'm telling you this because I love you and you're a friend. If you're online and you are watching people who call themselves coaches, consultants, live event planners, and you see someone watching them, following them, and they get duped by them, they realize that, oh, this is not the person. The person said they can do something, but they can't. We have a lot of Periscope phonies and Facebook fakers. A
Mhm.
lot of people who say they can do something, like even in your industry, a lot of people who could say they can do event planning, but cannot plan their own life or plan their lunch, but they say they can event plan, right?
Right, right,
Well, if you see that and you wonder, well, why do people keep giving them their money? It's your fault.
right,
Well, Roshana, what do you mean? How's it my fault? Because they didn't see you as the option. Because you're still playing, peekaboo. You're still hiding in the background. So they didn't know that you were the option. They didn't know that you were the option, not
right.
a option, but the option.
Option, right,
Because you haven't taken your visibility seriously. Your visibility, friend, is a non negotiable. And in this space, when we have so many people online, so many people engaging, why would you be quiet?
right,
Why would you be silent during this time when there are people who are looking for an answer?
right.
That's why visibility is important.
I think fear. I
Hmm.
think fear is a big thing. I struggle. Everybody does. You know how that is.
Right.
And once you get past that, I've talked about this before. It definitely, it, all of a sudden, you're like, wait, why was I afraid of that? Right. So
Right.
that's, I'm getting through that, working through doing these. And the more I do these, the less I think about it. When I said earlier, I told you earlier that when I used to get ready for these, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to die. I was like, I got
Yeah.
to cancel. I can't do it. I'll blame it on the interviewee. I'll do everything. But then after a while, you look, I'm excited. I stopped thinking about am I doing this right? Did I start right? Did I forget to say something? I don't care. I just want to get the message across and enjoy my time with someone that's on. So
Good for you. And I was there too. I mean, I remember when I first started in this platform, I was so nervous. You're talking to the lady because some people think just because I worked in television, oh, this is easy for you. It wasn't because remember, I worked behind the scenes.
right,
I was the one producing the show, writing the news that the anchors read on air. So it wasn't easy for me, but I had to focus on this. And maybe this will support those who are dealing with fear. I had to focus less on my own insecurities and
mhm,
focus more on the people that I was called to serve and impact. When I put my focus on, I got to hit this button because if I don't, these people are not going to get the information that they need.
right,
Or, they're going to get a wolf in sheep's clothing. They're going to get the wrong coach or wrong consultant, or their event is not going to happen because they need me. When I
right.
started focusing on being the solution and being the answer, it really took away a lot of that anxiety that I was feeling.
So when we first closed down, and then I didn't have a
Mhm.
business, and or I thought I didn't have a business, we all kind of shut down for a month, and then we said, okay, now we got to figure out what we're really going to get used to being shut down and quarantined and all of that. And so now
Right.
what's the next step? I one of a friend posted a bunch of stuff on stories, Instagram stories, and he was promoting other businesses. And so then I texted and said, I wrote back and said, and Naif Productions does virtual events. And he was
Mm.
like, oh, you're doing virtual events? He then referred me to two other clients who we are now doing major virtual events for. But I assumed that because I'm an event planner, they figured that I was doing virtual events. No, you have to tell people what you're doing. So
That's
now I'm
it.
like virtual, 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 because that's what's going on right now. And that's how we can help people get their messages out, make money, whatever it is they're doing with their events, have fun, whatever it is. So you
I
have to
love that.
you can't assume. So
Mhm.
what is your visibility story?
My visibility story. Wow, that's a good one. My visibility story starts with um, really betting on myself. When I think about my visibility story, it starts with, I mean, wow, that's such a good question. I'm like, there's so many different directions I can go with this question. I mean, my visibility story starts with really one day having what I call a burning bush experience. A couple of years ago, my family and I were held up at gunpoint.
Oh,
Life becomes real when you got a gun pointed to your head,
wow.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And in that moment, I asked myself a question. And I want everybody, you don't have to have a gun pointed to your head to answer this question. And this was the question, my friend. If this was the end of your life, what would have been said about you? What impact are you making? Who are you influencing? How did you make this world a better place? Did you really stand tall in your God given gift? What did you do with the time that you have here on the earth? And here's the thing, I had to be honest with myself, friend. I wasn't doing anything.
yeah,
I was treating my business like a hobby. I really wasn't showing up in life. And the reason why I wasn't showing up in life because I wasn't showing up for myself,
right.
right? And it was all of these things. And I had to look at life differently. And I call that my burning bush experience because it really got my attention. And that day is when changed everything for me. That day is when I decided that I was no longer playing small, that I was going to bet on myself because I knew exactly what I can do. I knew it was exactly what was on the inside of me. If I'm going to take a risk, I'm a risk on myself. And here's what I knew about that. I covered in 20 years of working in television news. You know these stories I covered of people who would give their life 15, 20 years to a company, show up to work one day and the doors are padlocked. Look what happened with Enron. People who invested in a company that they trusted, only for them to have nothing at the end. And this is not a thing against, working for someone. That's not what I'm saying. I want you to hear what I'm saying here. What I'm talking about is the fact of those people betted, put all the chips on the table that I'm going to show up to work and I'm going to have a job. No forwarding address, no warning, nothing. And I decided that I would never be able to have control of my destiny over into someone else's hands. That I know what Roshanda's capable of, and I'm gonna always bet on me every single time. And that started my visibility journey. That started and changed everything for me because I said, if I can't bet on me, then who can I bet on?
Yeah.
I know I can bet on myself.
Right, right. It's that hit me because we don't want a gun to our head, but sometimes things that happen to us where we lose our jobs, it feels like you have a gun to your head.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
your whole world is falling apart. You're gonna die. You can't make whatever it is, and
Mhm.
it's hard being an entrepreneur. I had to learn, and I'm still learning, but I had to learn. It's been 10 years now, but which is
Right.
I can't believe it myself. But it's scary because
Yeah.
you have to pay the bills, and I don't live in a cheap city, and it's like
Hmm.
knowing your team and all of that. So it's really really scary. And thank God.
And that, let me say something to that. The point of us being here and the name of your show here is a turn of events.
Mhm.
That's exactly what's happened. And I love how you said, Roshanda, for some of us, we don't have a gun to our head, but we lost our job. We had to pivot and do things differently. And a turn of events can also be your burning bush experience. For me, it was a gun to my head. For you, it's the fact of how we were doing events. We had to pivot and shift because we're not doing those
Yeah,
events like that anymore.
it
But you
changed.
have to be open to
Yeah,
doing something different. You
yeah,
have to be open to what I like to say, rewriting the narrative, changing the narrative, even in your life and business. You have to be open to doing that. And I think that's what sparks the visibility because you start to say to yourself, if I'm feeling this way and if I'm thinking this way, who else wants to be heard online? I mean, that's the question I started asking myself. If I'm finding my voice, if I'm clarifying my message and I'm using live video to do this, who else needs help doing that?
right. Yeah. Well, Jacqueline says my purpose is to inspire others to be better and believe in themselves.
Love that.
And Jacqueline's a dear friend of mine. She's in the industry, and my heart breaks for everyone in my industry who's really
Yeah.
no. And if you don't have you got to have that drive to keep going and not get depressed and lay on the couch and think, oh my gosh, my business is gone. Just keep going and just keep trying things. I don't have no idea where this is going to take me, but
Yeah.
trying to help others and just keep everyone inspired and thinking positive to get through this.
So
So
key.
yeah, yeah. So let's share some tips, some techniques, recommendations that you can give to be more visible.
First and foremost, when it comes to being visible, you have to understand that your visibility is really not about you, it's really about others, right? So, me showing up, look at that. There's Andrea. And because Rashonda showed up and answered the call, she has such an awesome impact on my life. And thank you, Andrea. That's really what your visibility is about. This is what I tell clients who want to book media. If you want just 15 seconds of fame, I'm not the person for you because that's not what this is about.
Right,
It's really about how I can show up and be valuable to others. How can I show and impart to others? So, first and foremost, you have to understand that we coming on to this live platform, I'm going to say something again, friends. This is going to be another step on your toes, but I'm telling you this because I love you. This is not about a popularity contest. So if you were not the cool kid in school and you're looking for 25 people to show up on your live broadcast right out the gate because you want to feel like you're now popular, this is not what this is about. You're totally missing the platform here. But it's really about education, entertainment, and empowering people. That's the kind of videos that people watch. So, first of all, it's coming in here with the thing of how can I serve others? Secondly, it's about what is your message? What are you going to say once you hit the go live button? How are you going to show up when you're here? What does that look like? And then it's talking about what do I ultimately want to happen? What's my goal of doing live video? Is it just because this lady from South Carolina named the Rose Show Live said, hey, you need to go live? No, what is my end goal? Do I want to move people to a community? Do I want to sell them my course or my product? What is the end goal? And I think those are the things, if I had to share, truncated down to three things, those are the top three things that you need to be very aware of with live video.
right, right. Um, and yeah, I lost my thought there, but it's super important. Say serve others, your message, and show up. Show up is the biggest piece, right?
It is because, people talk about, I want to have more than one person watching me. I want to have more than 20 people watching me. But the question I ask them all the time is, how consistent are you? It's just like watching our news program. When the fall season starts, what do they keep telling? They keep advertising over and over again, reminding you that they're going to show up. You can't show up for 3 days and then you ghost your audience and they don't see you for 3 months. That's
Right,
not how it works. So you
right,
have to be consistent consistent in your messaging, consistent in how you show up. Consistency is the key. And you know what else? Transparency. Transparency is the new currency. And I will encourage your audience that transparency is particularly key because we're in this environment and culture of fake news, people catfishing, people not being who they say that they are. So people are very leery of what's happening online. So it's really key for you to be transparent in your messaging and in how you show up.
Right. And sometimes you don't know who sees it, is anybody
Yeah.
watching, is anybody cares, and so even if I get one person to say, I watched your videos, they're so great, just it's thank you so much, that means so much to me, because at least I touched one person and I reached one person. I don't have a huge following on Instagram like some
Hmm.
people have, hundreds of thousands of people, but I'm reaching people. Even if I get 20 or 30, that's 20 or 30 people I didn't reach if I didn't do it. So
That's right. Slow and steady wins the race.
yes, exactly. Okay, so let's talk about camera confidence. What
Yes.
what advice can you give for people for camera confidence?
People hit this go live button and they see that red and it's like this.
I know.
Deer in headlights. I
I know.
mean, years of being in television, I would see it. You talk to the person in the seat, they're excited, and soon as it's like 3, 2, 1, you're live. They're like,
Yeah.
is this thing really on? So I
I,
think the thing about camera confidence is this is like primo what I'm about to share with you. I believe the reason why people get fearful when they hit this go live button is because you are seeing yourself for the first time.
yeah.
Think about it, especially if you're going live by yourself. The only person you're talking to is really yourself and the people who are watching. But you're
Right.
really talking to yourself because the person that you see is yourself. Right here, we're doing an interview. You
Right.
can see me, we're having a conversation. But when you're going live for the first time, it's just you, yourself, and I, right?
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I advise people to do with developing their camera confidence, get used to looking at yourself.
Hmm.
You don't really do that. I know the ladies are saying, Roshana, that's not true. I put on my eyebrows, I put on my lashes, I do all the things.
Yeah.
But those are mechanics. We really don't take time to really study our face, to
Right.
really look at our facial expressions, and
Right.
to get used to looking at ourselves.
Right.
That's part of the problem because when you go live the first time, tell me the truth, friend. When you went live the first time, you started noticing things about your face that you never saw before,
I know. I took it.
right?
I got a crooked smile that I didn't realize I had all my life, right? I was like, where
Right.
did it come from? But
Right.
now I'm used to it. I know it's there, whatever. And some people think it's
Exactly.
cute, and I'm like, why is my smile crooked? But, it's whatever.
Yes. And so you don't notice those things because you never really looked at yourself before. You never really listened to yourself before. So you start to notice things about your voice. So really the first stage of camera confidence is being confident in what you look like.
Yes,
Looking at yourself and studying yourself in the mirror. And that's well before you show up here on this platform.
right. And, the thing too is, as soon as the lights go, as soon as the camera starts, my heart starts to
Yep.
like, go fast. And I forget exactly everything I was going to say that I just rattled off in my head 5 minutes before,
Hmm.
and I had no problems. But
Yeah.
what? So what if you're going to stumble? So what if you forget? It'll come
Hmm.
back. This isn't like,
Yeah. Let
doing
me
more.
tell you a story about that. True story. So, even when it comes to preparing for a live video, I always jot down my notes, right?
Yep.
20 years of being in TV, I've learned about scripts. But let me tell you a story here and why I purposely, even if I record video in that, I purposely sometimes keep my mistakes in there. You want
Yeah.
to know why? It makes you authentic.
Authentic.
Here's a real story. A friend of mine works with branding, and they discovered years ago she was working at a high end fitness facility in the DMV area. And they discovered that their trainers were doing like little live videos and pop up videos on social media, showing people exercises, things you can do at home, that kind of thing. And
Right.
it took off like gangbusters. They were trending, people were really into it, all of the things. So the gym got this really cool idea that, you know what, we're going to do some branded video. Hired a high end team, lights, camera, action, all the things. The videos fell flat. No one engaged with them. Nobody liked them. Nothing. So where's what the lesson they discovered? People preferred the video that they were just doing on their phone, very generic and basic, versus the nice, prettied video because that video is edited. But this video here on live stream, what you see is what you get. And it makes you seem very authentic and real. So,
Mhm.
am I saying that you don't still do branded videos that are jazzed up? No, you should. And that should be a part of your plan. But don't rely heavily on that because people want authentic. What video editor do I use? I use iMovie. So I've bought into the Apple cult. So all of my products are Apple products. So I use a Mac and I use iMovie to do a lot of the editing.
Yeah, yeah. And lighting is everything, girls.
Yes.
You need to make sure you have natural light. Like I'm sitting in front of a large window with the light coming in, and I also have a desk light that I just shining on my face. So it's probably not the perfect lighting, but it is decent lighting, and you can see me.
Well, can we all agree, first of all, that this woman is gorgeous? Can we throw up some hearts for that? I'm gonna hit the button because this lady, first of all, is gorgeous. And I always tell her how much I love this red hair. I mean,
There.
so yeah, beautiful. But I love that you talked about the lighting because, and I love that you have the lighting in front of you because that's a thing that I have to tell everybody all the time. So here's a quick lesson. Number one, you want the lighting always in front of you. And if you can, you want to aim for natural light. You can't beat God's light. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Here's the thing. If you are African American or a person of color, you always want to have the light in front of you. You don't want to have the light behind you because it makes you darker and you phase out. We can't see you.
yeah,
If you're Caucasian, you want to make sure that you have the light in front of you and you balance it out. You don't want to have the light behind you because you look like you have this 1940s halo glow, right? You look like you're washed out.
yeah,
So you always want to balance the
yeah,
light.
yeah.
And that's so important.
I feel like it's a little bright, and it does make me more white. As you know, I put a little more blush on. But I'm a white girl, so what do you know? I'm a redhead, so I'm really fair. But it's the way it is. So okay, so what do we have to do before we begin the broadcast?
So before you begin the broadcast, number one, you got to let people know you're going live. Stop doing this thing at midnight because you know nobody's up. Let people know when you're going live. Advertise it. Tell people where they can see you and when they can see you. So advertise it. The second thing is you want to prepare. You want to get your notes together. Understand what the that you're going to bring to people, and you know what the call to action is. And then finally, as you get ready to prepare for the live video, you want to make sure you have good lighting. You want to make sure that people can see you. You guys, for all that is right and holy in the world, can we stop doing these up the nose shots?
I know.
Under the chin is never flattering, and under your nose is never flattering. And we stop.
Yeah.
Stop it. Your friend's not telling you, they're talking about you because I'm your friend. I want to tell you, don't do that anymore. So, no more nose shots, no more chin shots. And actually, here's another thing statistics show that when you have a camera that's directly on you, it really speaks to your authority.
Mhm.
So if you're a speaker, a coach, a consultant, you're someone who's doing crisis communication, and you know someone in your company's put their foot in your mouth, you better not have this camera under here, straight and direct on you, okay? And then you want to make sure you have a good Wi-Fi connection. Nobody wants to do a live video and the connection is spotty. People are concerned, should they click in? Am I going to pop in and see something inappropriate? You want to make sure that your stream is good so that way, when you hit that go live button, you are prepared and ready to go.
Right. The other thing too is when I first started these, didn't realize how much work there was going into this.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have to contact you, and then I have to send you the information, and we have to put all the marketing materials together, and then we have to post it on my constant contact to my list, and then we have to market it. And I only market usually a week before because I do these once a week. But so there's a lot of communication back and forth. So I have my assistant helps me with that. I hired someone to help me because I can't do it all and run my business and try to focus on the new clients and what we're doing. So
sure.
And you need to follow your brand. If you don't want to get on camera looking like you just got out of bed. So it's a little more time to do your hair and makeup or whatever you got to do, but follow your brand. That's important. If your brand is to be zhushed, then you should zhush yourself.
I agree. And first of all, I love the fact that you use zhush.
Zhush.
Can we talk about this? I love this New Yorker. I love that she is zhush. Like,
Whenever I'm
seriously.
at an event and we've got these linens, I'm always like, zhush the linens, which means like get them so they're not like sloppy, make them neat. It's a word I've used for 100 years. I don't know what it is.
I love it. Well, the reason why I love it so much is because it reminds me of Judge Judy, who's another one of my favorite New Yorkers who was like, juju it up. Like, I love it.
Yeah,
So, yes, you should juju up. So, like, if that's your thing, show up how you want to be perceived and how you want to be addressed. So, I mean, if you're on here, one of the things that I invested in, real talk, I went with a makeup artist and had her show me how to do my makeup for live video and for TV because sometimes I can't always call her to do my makeup. I have a stylist to talk to me about what colors work best on video and on camera. Make the investment because here's the thing, people will perceive you how they receive you.
oh, that's a good one. I love it.
So I'm telling you, don't leave that narrative up to chance. If you don't manage your narrative, if you don't manage your brand, someone else will. And
Right.
I don't want anybody else managing my narrative and my brand who is not in the trenches in what I'm doing. So
Right.
don't give them that opportunity to do so.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so how important is storytelling? I love this one in your business when it comes to visibility. It's really, I think it's like the biggest piece of it.
It really is the biggest piece of this because facts tell, but stories sell. And what I've learned is we are being told a story every single day. Seriously. So your audience has a story that they want to hear from you, and it's your responsibility to tell the story. So here's one of my favorite Native American proverbs. It says, "Those who tell the stories rule the world." It doesn't say that the person who tells the accurate story.
Right.
Definitely. It just says those who show up to tell the stories rule the world. So there's a part of the world or a part of your industry that you are created to rule. But what happens and how to do that is through powerful storytelling. So I think storytelling is really key. It's at the fiber and the DNA in who we are as humans. Our birth story, how our parents met, how you got here, how'd your name come to be. We're always trying to figure out our story, and it's the same with your company. Stories are important, and you have to tap into that unique story. The pain of why you create your company and the pain of your audience, that's
Right.
a part of the story, the emotional side of it. And you need to tell that.
Yeah. So when I teach a course at NYU, or I did until they shut everything down, but and I also coach event planners on how to start an event planning business. And one of the things I do is I tell all my nightmare stories, because they're the best to teach
Yes.
them what not to do, how to not spend a lot of money. And so
Hmm.
stories of all the nightmare things that have happened to me over the last 30 years are the best. And they love it.
Yes.
And you know what? They remember. That's how they remember. I think, when we talk about nice things, it's hard to people, like, if someone compliments you, you only remember the 100 times they get complimented, but if they say one bad thing, you always remember.
Right.
So it's
Right.
the bad stories that I share. And I've got plenty, 30 years in the business, you have plenty of them. So I think
Can I talk about that for a second? I love the fact that you talk to them about your mess. And one of the things that I tell people all the time, the word message contains the word mess.
Mhm.
So in your message contains the word mess. And you do a disservice to people when you want to tell them all the glorious things, all the great things that have happened, but you don't want to tell them, listen, this is the bad. Yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is what really happened. This is how I can prepare you for this. And
Right.
here's the thing, I think when you tell people the mess in your message, it makes you more human. It makes you relatable. They
Back to
authentic. They understand, like, oh my gosh, she gets me, she
right.
understands me, she
And
knows my pain.
she went through it, and look where she is, and I look
Yes,
up to her, and she can do it. So it's, or he or she, whatever. So it's showing that you don't have you certainly can't be perfect all the time, and you're going to make mistakes. I still make mistakes, and I've been doing it forever. It seems like things happen that you don't expect. It's like, wow, I never thought that was going to happen, but
right,
it's how you handle it is the key to it, right?
exactly. I love it.
So And also, one of the things I want to talk about storytelling is I do a lot of events for coaches. And
Mm-hmm.
I also was lucky enough to work with Michael Port and Amy, and they teach coaches how to, speakers how to speak from the stage and perform. It's a
Sure.
storytelling, and there's a performance behind doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
I got to watch them live, and it's really amazing, and they're amazing. So I think it's just this, you want to entertain people. If you're just standing up there and going, okay, branding is and you're talking, it's
Right.
for people, and they want to hear the story behind that's going to keep them interested. So I think
Oh,
it's
there's definitely a performance part to it. I mean, it's the
great.
same thing with it's the same thing with live video. I mean, you should not be monotone and sound like this on live video. Who's going to stick around to listen to that? But it's the dramatic pauses. If you watch my live video, I mean, seriously, any photographer who comes to my event, God bless them. Because one of the things that they always have to deal with is the many faces of Row. I mean, seriously, I like go through and I'm just like, look at all of these faces. I mean, if you look at my videos, it's like I'm leaning in. It's like, I want you to hear me. I'm tapping the screen. Did you hear what I just said? Your visibility is power. Did you hear what I said? Because you want to make it memorable. And here's the thing, it's really about making your live video an experience. Much
Yes,
like what you do with event planning, it's about making your live video an experience. You want people to come and say, I don't want to miss a notification. I want
right.
to make sure I'm there because they want to be a part of the experience.
So what
That's
tip do you
key.
have about doing that by yourself? So it's easy
Yeah.
when I'm interviewing and you and I are, going back and forth and having fun,
Hmm.
but by yourself, which by the way, I have not done a video by myself yet. So that's my next thing.
Oh,
I
okay. Okay.
haven't done any live video and just popped on and done it. I don't know but I'm working towards that one step at a
Okay.
time. So what's
Hmm.
your advice for going by yourself and entertaining and keeping that going?
I think it goes back to the engagement of the people in your audience. I think when you start the precedence that they are a part of the conversation, so it's taking the time to read their comments, it's taking the time to ask them questions, engaging questions, right? That
Right.
they engage in the conversation. I laugh at myself a lot. I mean, there are times my 2-year-old comes on to the show. Baby show is like she has her own following.
She's
Seriously.
the cutest ever. And
Thank
people
you.
love that now. Now it's
Oh,
like
they love that.
it's okay to have your kids come in or your dog come in or
Oh, totally.
yeah.
So, making people part of the life, sometimes there was one time I was doing a live video and the light just went out. And I just said, you guys, 1 second, tech support, which is
Yeah.
me. I had to go take care of this light. But it's like having those times
Right.
of just engaging in the comment section and just being real and having a good time
Yeah.
that seriously, that's what I want to make it. I wanted to make it a good experience. So it's when I'm delivering the content and I want to do a mic drop moment, it's taking a moment of just pausing.
Yeah.
I'm pausing because I want you to hear what I just said. Did you hear what I just said? And it's like leaning in. It's just really just the body language part that you can easily do with just yourself. I hope that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And you are so good at it. I love if you are not following her, you need to follow her. She's so great and engaging and
Thank you,
there's
friend.
a big piece of spiritual aside to you as well, which I absolutely love. And so you're so fun. So I watch because I see how you're handling it, what you're doing, but you're very good at it. So you always should have been in front of the camera for sure.
Thank you.
Yes. So, and you're gorgeous too, by the way. I love all the glasses and all that. I think it's fantastic. I love.
Thank you.
Okay, so what is the mistake you see people make when it comes to being seen, heard, and paid? I mean,
Oh,
I can sit here and do this, but I also need to make money. So,
right.
how do you translate that? And what do you see mistakes being made?
Okay, so I'm going to go two because I could give a laundry list. I probably should do a blog post about this. One of the things that I see that people make a major mistake when it comes to live video is number one, not treating this live broadcast as a extension of their brand. So I see a lot of people still doing this. Even though I've done a viral post about this, people are still doing this whole thing of, I'm just going to wait for a couple more people to jump in before I get started. You don't want to do that
Right.
because it alienates the people who are there. And number two, when I'm in the replay audience, I don't want to have to scrub through that or wait through all of that before I get to the content.
Yeah.
So you want to just start the show. Listen, your favorite Wheel of Fortune, whatever show that you like, it doesn't say, oh, wow, we're not going to get started with Vanna spinning the wheel. We got to wait for Annette to show up before we get started here. You just get started. You just catch up where you catch up. I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
So you stop doing that because it alienates your audience that may be there watching live, but also your live replay audience doesn't like it. The
Yeah.
other thing is people not being very clear on what their message is, what they want to do with this live video platform to begin with. So they come on here and they really don't understand what their message is. They just know that I have this on my phone, I have capabilities of doing this, and I'm just going to show up. But I just don't even know what I'm going to say, and I'm just going to figure it out as I go. Now, I have no problem with evolution of a brand because that's okay. Because when I first started on this platform, I was a media messenger. Now I'm a storyteller, live stream strategist, producer. So that's the evolution. That's the growth of the brand. That is progress, not perfection. See that? That's why we don't strive for perfection. We strive for progress. But people not understanding their message. And when they don't understand that, a couple of things happen. Number one, you attract the wrong people. So
Right.
in the early days of live video, what happened in that was we had a lot of people who were starting to sound like the trending people, the popular people. And they were attracting people, but they were attracting people to the wrong sound. So you had people who weren't attracted to them, they were just attracted to what they mimicked. You don't want to be that person.
No.
Or when you don't understand your message, you end up removing yourself from the people who are your audience, who are your tribe, your community. So it's very important that we understand that this live video is an extension of who we are. So we're not sitting here waiting for people to join us. We're getting started. And number two, become very clear on what our message is on before we get on this platform.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, such great stuff. So Miriam's asking any suggestions on how to engage audience and not get sidetracked?
Such a good idea. Okay, so one of the things that I do, I love to engage if you watch me over on the Rose Show Live with my audience. One of the things is I plan it in my mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to engage with them at the top of the broadcast, but not for too long. So we're not doing an extensive roll call. I will say, hey, Key, good to see you. Andrea, thank you so much for being here. Katie, glad that you were here. Miriam, good to see you. And then I'll do my little thing and then I get into the content.
Right.
Then I sit there in my mind and time myself and I say, okay, I've been engaging for a while here in the sense of teaching or sharing for a while here. I'm going to start and do a reset. Hey guys, this is what we're talking about tonight. I'm going to take a couple of moments here and engage. And here's the other thing too. Set the tone. Tell people what you're going to do at the top of the broadcast. So if you want to take Q&As, let people know, hey, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to open up an opportunity for you guys to ask some questions, but we're going to do that at the end of the broadcast. You may want to save your question till then, write it down. Start to what I did 20 years as a television news producer.
I'm gonna
Produce it.
insert that now. I'm gonna insert that because I
Produce
didn't
it.
do that, but I just say if you have any questions. But go ahead. So yeah, that's great. Great
Yeah,
advice.
so produce it. So that way you're not feeling like you're sidetracked and then you're trying to pick up where you left off and you're trying to figure out what your talking points is. You start to produce it in your mind so that way it's not overwhelming.
It is. I mean, as an event producer, it's totally different than doing this, which is why I have an assistant help me. So
Hmm.
it would be good to have someone on with you if you're doing something like this to help with the questions, to help with
Totally.
if the interviewee has said something that's powerful, have your assistant put that on and post it. So this is
Hmm.
a StreamYard that I'm using, by the way, if anybody wants to know. And it's great because as you can see, we can put up people's comments, which I think is really great. And we can keep them, people love to have their picture up on the screen. So
Totally.
we get them
Totally.
engaged. So it's really fun that way. Well, is there anything else you want to add on getting paid and things like that? I mean, like, what do you,
Sure.
so taking this and then my biggest thing now is what do I do with all of these videos that I'm doing, right?
Sure.
What do you do with that?
So there's so many different ways that you can get paid through live streaming. So I'm going to talk about a couple of ways that's worked for me. Because of live streaming, I was able to write a book called CEO of Live Video. You can get it on Amazon. Became a bestseller in 24 hours, and it's the step by step on how to do live video, right?
Mhm.
So live stream opened up the opportunity for me to write a book. The other thing from live stream, it's opened up an opportunity for now. I'm a reoccurring guest on Fox 46 in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I talk about all things that deal with social media and trending topics. That came from live video. So when we're talking about monetizing it, there's several different ways that you can do this. You can have a paid webinar. You can take some of your content and your live videos, bundle them together and sell them in a package. You can turn your live content into an ebook or a book. There's several different ways that you can monetize this. And then the other way, which is one of my favorite ways, that you can use this to increase your visibility, really put the seal on yourself as an expert or authority in a particular subject matter, that now corporations are looking to you
Right.
as the source. I just started working again with a corporate client, and I'll start producing a live stream show for them. Why? Because I started to niche or really hone in on my expertise on this platform, and you get the opportunity to do that as well.
Ah,
Thank
and
you, Andrea.
yeah, it's full of chock full of valuable information, which is great.
Thank you.
So Jacqueline asked, how do you set up any of your notes or bullet points?
Oh, that's a great one. So let me see if I have an example here. One thing that I teach my clients, and we have a course called From Zero to CEO of Live Video in 30 Days, where we help you. Andrew is in that course, where we help you understand how to connect, engage, and make an offer when it comes to live video. See, CEO, connect, engage, and make the offer. And it's a 30-day course. And one of the things I teach my clients is this: an index card. We're going back old school here. We're taking it back to middle school. And here's the thing that I tell people: if it can't fit on this index card, you're not saying it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we come here with an abundance of notes. Who has time? And then I'm not writing whole sentences. I'm writing strictly bullet points. I may even put, okay, this is the story that I want to share, that kind of information. But I put everything on an index card, and my hold myself accountable to this.
Right.
That if it can't fit on this index card, then I'm not going beyond this.
Yeah.
And that's also just a side note. I also work with clients and helping them book for media. When you understand how to truncate your message on an index card, you'll know how to send a media pitch, because you know how to get straight to the point.
Right. And they don't want all kinds of information, which
No.
they just want it straight to the point. And subject line is everything. I've heard a lot of
Yes.
people talk about that. And that's probably a whole nother conversation. But
Yeah. Bring me back for that one.
yeah, exactly. And where do you place it to see? Where, okay, so because
Great
like,
question.
even like I'm asking questions, so I look down sometimes and I can talk about what
Mhm.
I do with on this side of it. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, that's a great question. So here's where I want to burst the bubble. And I was talking to someone recently, a client of mine who comes from the radio side, comes from the TV side. And so the struggle that a lot of journalists had with this live video platform, and still struggle sometimes with it, is because we want it to be like TV. So we want everything to be perfect. We can't let you guys see the microphones.
Yeah.
They already know that we're using microphones. We can't let you see the magic of the green screen. So when I was working in TV and helping the folks transition to live video, I had to tell them, you guys, it's okay to see the cable cords. We can't let them see that. Are you kidding me? I'm like, you guys, they already know, and it actually helps with the authenticity of what
People
we're doing.
and they like to see behind the scenes.
They like to see behind the scenes.
We're doing virtual events right now where we have a hybrid. So the
Yeah.
speaker is on the stage, and then we have TVs all around in front of the host or the MC or whatever that is. And I
Hmm.
like to have a camera so everybody can see what the host is looking at. And
Exactly.
like, we don't want to do. Oh, I'm like, why not? Like, I think it's especially now because who wants to keep looking at the host? Of course, they're great and everything, but I think behind the scenes is much more interesting. We have to make
Yep.
it interesting and keep people engaged. So I think
Hmm.
they'd like to see how that's working, and so we're doing that. But yeah,
And so, with that being said, it is okay for you to look down.
yeah,
The main thing you want to do is you want to maintain eye contact. So, I'm dancing at the screen here, but I'm also, when I want to make a powerful point to you guys, I'm looking directly into my web camera. So when it comes to where to place this, what does that look like for you? Do you place it in front of you and prop it up, and so that way you can kind of glance down at your comments, I mean at your content? Or do you put it up someplace? There are apps that you can do a teleprompter. But here's the thing: people already know you're gazing down at your notes. And here's the thing: just tell them, Guys, I am looking at the comments, but I just want you guys to know I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure that I stay focused and I'm able to give you guys what you came here for. People
Right.
have a problem with that.
Yeah.
We think it makes us look weak. It makes us look unprofessional.
Right.
No, your audience is like, well, thank you so much for being, concerned about not wasting my time and taking the time to put some notes together and not just winging it. Because we're not winging live videos anymore. We're not winging it. We're
No.
gonna have a plan.
Yeah. So before I get on, so I have a list of notes, as you can see.
Mhm.
Okay. So these are questions that I always ask the interviewee. What we talk about, what we're going to talk about, and then they give me
Right.
questions because I don't know what their topics are. And so I go through the questions, and sometimes we add our own, or and you have to. The tricky thing is when you have the questions, if the interviewee has already answered the question, you don't want to go back and ask the question again.
Right. Right.
It's a little tricky. You do have to pay attention. It's like we covered a few things in here, like remaining silent and stuff like that. So I'm not going to ask that question now because we've already covered it. If it comes up again, great. So you kind of have to, and I separate them so they're not all together. I don't put them on the cards. I just have them on my sheet, but it's just a short, quick question. It's not like I need to give information. So
Exactly.
I do it that way, but I think that's really good. And maybe I'll go to the cards now. But so it's been so amazing. We could sit here for hours and I love just talking to you, but do you have any final thoughts for all of our viewers?
First of all, thank you, friends, so much. We have never met in person, you guys. We've only done life here on social media, and we met many, many moons ago. And it's been amazing to just be on this platform to see how you have pivoted in your company. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to encourage everyone who's watching this live and in the replay to remember that your visibility is power, that you deserve to be seen, heard, and paid this year. And I want to offer you a free gift. I have a PDF download of 40 ways that you can be seen, heard, and paid, 40 ways that you can increase your visibility. So if you go to bit.ly/40 ways paid, and I know they're going to put that up in the comment section, you can go ahead and download that PDF. And the other thing is, if you're a person who's watching and you say, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, and I'm a consultant, and I need help shifting and pivoting and really embracing this live video platform, it's been a blessing for me. I mean, seriously, wrote a book that became an Amazon bestseller, spoke at the #1 government social media conference last year, spoke in Paris, France. I mean, it's been amazing. I would love an opportunity to talk to you about one of our programs as well and how we can support you as well. So, you guys, thank you so much for this opportunity. And listen, embrace your visibility.
Yes, thank you so much. I love you to pieces. I'm so honored to have you on, and you're just the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Have a great day.